Hello fellow gardeners, and welcome back to Smart Garden. If you're watching this video, chances are you're tired of the endless cycle of mulching, the constant battle with weeds and soil that seems to lose its vitality no matter how much organic matter you pile on top. What if I told you there's a simple, elegant solution that's been hiding in plain sight all along? Today we're going to explore how white clover can completely transform your approach to soil building, replacing traditional mulch with a living, breathing alternative that actually improves your garden with each passing season. For decades, gardeners have been told that mulch is essential for healthy gardens. We dutifully spread wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves across our beds, believing we're doing the right thing. While traditional mulch does offer benefits like weed suppression and moisture retention, it comes with hidden drawbacks that many of us never consider. Organic mulches need constant replenishment as they decompose slowly on the surface, often creating a barrier that prevents rainwater from penetrating to plant roots. Wood-based mulches can actually tie up nitrogen in the soil as they break down, temporarily starving your plants of this essential nutrient. The real issue with conventional mulch is that it's a band-aid solution rather than a systemic improvement. You're covering problems instead of solving them. Your soil underneath remains largely unchanged, compacted, and depleted. Each spring, you're starting from scratch, hauling bags or wheelbarrows of mulch, spreading it evenly, and hoping it lasts until next season. There's a better way, and it involves working with nature rather than simply covering it up. Enter white clover, a humble plant that most people dismiss as a lawnweed but that regenerative farmers and permaculture practitioners have recognized as a garden game-changer. This low-growing perennial creates a lush emerald carpet that stays green through most of the growing season, requiring virtually no maintenance once established. Unlike traditional mulch that just sits there decomposing, white clover is alive and actively working to improve your soil every single day. The magic of white clover lies in its partnership with rhizobium bacteria, those microscopic organisms that colonize the plant's roots and perform, honestly, one of nature's most remarkable tricks. These bacteria capture nitrogen from the air and convert it into a form that plants can use, essentially manufacturing fertilizer right in your garden bed. Each white clover plant becomes a tiny fertilizer factory, pumping nitrogen into the surrounding soil without you lifting a finger or spending a penny. Studies have shown that established clover can fix between 100 to 200 pounds of nitrogen per acre annually, which translates to significant fertility gains even in a modest backyard garden. What makes white clover particularly attractive is its growth habit. It spreads through stolons, creating a dense mat that stays low to the ground, typically only reaching 4 to 8 inches in height. This means it won't shade out your vegetables or compete aggressively with established plants. Within weeks of seeding, you'll notice the transformation as the clover fills in bare patches and begins its work of soil improvement. While nitrogen fixation gets most of the attention, white clover offers a cascade of additional benefits that traditional mulch simply cannot match. The root system of white clover is surprisingly extensive and deep for such a small plant, often penetrating 8 to 12 inches into the soil. These roots act as living tillers, creating channels that improve soil aeration and allow water to infiltrate more effectively. When old roots die and decompose, they leave behind pathways that make it easier for subsequent plant roots to explore deeper soil layers. This root action is particularly valuable if you're dealing with compacted soil, which is honestly a pretty common problem in newer developments or those high-traffic garden areas. Instead of fighting compaction with a broad fork or tiller each season, white clover gradually loosens the soil structure through its natural growth cycles. The roots also secrete compounds that feed beneficial soil microorganisms, fostering a thriving underground ecosystem that further enhances soil health. The flowers of white clover, though small and unassuming, are, well, ecological powerhouses. They bloom continuously throughout the growing season, providing a reliable nectar source when many other flowers have finished blooming. This consistent food supply supports populations of native bees, honeybees, butterflies, and beneficial predatory insects like ladybugs and lacewings. These pollinators don't just visit your clover and leave, they stick around to pollinate your vegetables and fruits, increasing yields across your entire garden. As white clover goes through its natural life cycle, older leaves and stems die back and decompose directly into the soil surface. This continuous addition of organic matter is fundamentally different from traditional mulch. Because the plant material is fresh and green, when it dies, it's high in nitrogen and decomposes rapidly, feeding the soil food web immediately. Over months and years, this steady input of organic matter transforms soil texture, increasing its ability to hold moisture and nutrients while maintaining good drainage. Establishing white clover in your garden is, honestly, remarkably straightforward. The ideal time to seed is in early spring or early fall, when soil moisture is more reliable and temperatures are, moderate. If you're starting with bare soil, just broadcast the tiny seeds across the surface at a rate of about 4 to 8 ounces per 1,000 square feet, then lightly rake them in or cover with a thin layer of compost. The seeds need good soil contact and consistent moisture for the first 2 weeks to germinate successfully. For established garden beds where you're already growing vegetables, you can interseed clover between your crops without disturbing them. Just clear any mulch or debris from the areas you want to seed, scatter the clover seed, and water gently. The clover will establish in the spaces between your plants and gradually fill in as the season progresses. Some gardeners worry that the clover will compete with their vegetables, but research and practical experience show that, when managed properly, the benefits of nitrogen fixation and improved soil health far outweigh any minor competition. Managing white clover is, honestly, simple and intuitive. If it starts growing too enthusiastically near the base of your vegetables, just mow it with a string trimmer or cut it back with shears. This chop and drop approach actually accelerates nitrogen release, since the cut foliage decomposes quickly and feeds nearby plants. Some gardeners mow their clover pathways every few weeks during peak growing season, while others let it grow more freely and only trim as needed. In raised beds, white clover works beautifully as a permanent understory beneath taller vegetables like tomatoes, peppers, or brassicas. The clover shades the soil, reducing evaporation and keeping roots cool during those hot summer months. When fall arrives and you're pulling out spent plants, the clover remains in place, protecting the soil over winter and ready to support your spring plantings. When you step back and consider the full picture, white clover represents a fundamental shift in how we approach garden maintenance. Instead of constantly adding inputs from outside your garden, you're creating a self-sustaining system that improves itself over time. The labor savings alone are significant. No more annual mulch deliveries, no more spreading wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow of wood chips, no more mulch volcanoes around plant stems that invite disease. The financial benefits compound over years. A single purchase of white clover seed, costing perhaps $20 to $40 depending on your garden size, establishes a perennial ground cover that reseeds itself and persists indefinitely with minimal care. Compare this to annual mulch expenses that can easily run into hundreds of dollars for larger gardens, and the economic case becomes clear. The nitrogen fixation replaces or reduces your fertilizer needs, saving even more money while producing healthier, more nutritious crops. Beyond individual garden benefits, choosing white clover aligns with broader principles of regenerative agriculture and climate-smart gardening. By building soil organic matter, you're sequestering carbon from the atmosphere and storing it underground where it belongs. You're reducing dependency on fossil fuel-intensive inputs like synthetic fertilizers and transported mulch materials. You're supporting biodiversity and creating habitat for beneficial creatures that make our food systems possible. If you're ready to transform your garden from a high-maintenance chore into a thriving, self-improving ecosystem, it's time to give white clover a try. Start small with a section of pathway or a single raised bed if you're hesitant. Observe the changes over a season or two. Watch as your soil becomes darker, more crumbly, and more alive. Once you experience the difference, you'll wonder why you ever bothered with traditional mulch in the first place. If you found this guide valuable and want to see more regenerative gardening techniques that save you time, money, and effort while creating healthier gardens, make sure to subscribe to Smart Garden and hit that notification bell. Share this video with fellow gardeners who are ready to work smarter, not harder. Happy gardening, and here's to healthier soil and gardens that truly thrive.